First time my name and photograph ever appeared in print anywhere was in a small newspaper called the Acton Free Press, because I grew up in Acton, Ontario, Canada, on a sheep and pig farm. And I can still remember the crazy old glasses and the silly hair, and the newspaper writer referred to me as this boy with the gift of gab. Gift of gab. Nice way to say motor mouth. And I do love to talk, it's true. I do love to share my thoughts with people and use words to try to connect with people, express myself, etc. But it might surprise a few of you that over the years I've also been making notes on a show, a performance that's in total silence. Because magic really can say so much more sometimes when you say nothing. And this trick is one of those tricks that I've shared in different ways with people over the years, this principle and this kind of performance idea, in total silence. Sometimes I'll whistle, sometimes I'll hum, sometimes I'll ask somebody, are you a good hummer? Can you hum well this? Because this is actually a musical interlude part. Whatever, use a little comedy, whatever. It also makes for a very nice opener. Now this principle of items moving around with the wave of hand is very old. I don't know if it was first done with sugar cubes, when sugar used to come together consolidated as a group of 821 grains per. Now, of course, it runs free. The loose moral times that we live in, you can grab it and shake it loose. It used to come together as a group, organized, damn it. Sugar cubes, bottle caps. It's been used on matchboxes and books, I've seen it. And what I've been looking for the last few years at least, or maybe longer, is I wanted a version where you didn't have to buy something that looked like a magic prop and that was raised enough off the table so that even a newer magician could do the technical required, and then it was large enough and all this stuff. Because bottle caps can be great. Metal bottle caps can be great. And even plastic bottle caps off bigger bottles can be good too. But Gatorade, man, these wide mouth bottles they now have with the lids that are, you know, just perfectly off the ground for this technique, nice to palm and all that stuff. Let me tell you something else about this too, is there are versions that people use either with cards and coins, and I've even taught one here in the channel, cards and coins, or even bare hands, where you secretly actually slide around the items. Now those typically require a carpet or a tablecloth. The version I'm going to show you here, you don't need a special surface, okay? You can do it on virtually any surface. And I love the practicality of that as well. So let's take a look at the secrets behind the technique. One of the key secrets behind this idea of having the four lids impossibly travel around the table while you wave your hands is you're actually using a fifth, okay? I have a fifth palmed the entire time. So the first question really is, how do you get into this? How do you get into this, okay? Lots of ways to do this. Let me get into this right now. One way is to have all five in your pocket, back pocket or whatever. Start empty. Maybe you've done a couple of things. You say, hey, take a look at these. I got two more here. Take a look at those, okay? And they look at them and they say, you know what they are? And they can see the big G, and are these Gatorade lids? And you say, you're right, nicely done. But actually, for the sake of this performance, I want you to think of them as UFOs. And while I hand these out and people are looking at them, I take a step back, okay? And I put both my hands in my pockets. I'll hand these out while they're looking at them. I take a step back. I'll even sometimes, and I sort of show my hands empty, put my hands in my pockets, and I'll even lean back. Here I have a wall in the studio here. I'll even lean back if there's a wall there for a second, as if to say, hey, take your time, I'm in no rush. You know the classic line, take your time, I'm in no rush, I get paid by the hour. Ha ha ha. And that's a fine time for you to then bring your hands and get this in right hand classic palm. So this, and explore, I have small hands, so I think a lot of you or younger people will be able to, and I think if you got slightly bigger hands, you'll find that this, with the edge of this being clean, this is a great thing to palm, okay? Now you're not trying to push it deep into a classic palm and hold it like a coin, okay? It's not quite the same. It's actually kind of loose, all right? And it's not quite so much a classic palm in the center as it is almost a tiny baby step towards a Tenkai palm, okay? Tenkai palm has the card, of course, from the base of the thumb over to here, okay? But you're not going there. You could, all right? But then the thumb starts to vanish. It starts to, so what I found with these suckers, though, is I'm sort of here, and it's a very light grip. The great David Roth, sort of one of the masters of modern coin magic, he said that when he classic palms an item in his right hand, it's so gently held that just a tap will dislodge it, okay? So it's not a death grip, okay? It's a very light grip. So that's one way. I either give them out, show my hands, put my hands in. Another way, of course, is just to palm it off the start, right? Put your hand in, take a moment, get one right into that palm there, and then take the rest out and hand those out. I can even have one, if I want, over in this pocket, okay? That way, I can literally get this in the palm I need, resting on the fingers. Okay? Literally get it there, okay, in the palm I need, apparently make it melt through and into the pocket. And I'm where I need to be now. I've got the one palmed. So I was able to get those key images. And again, out these come. Nice, clean square. Show the hands empty. Talk about them being magical or do a false transfer there. Or if you don't like the idea of going from here, because notice if I do this, and this, and this, we all know that traditionally people might think it's in the other hand and you're already going over here. So if instead I do it as more of a penetration idea, where I do this, like this, keep the sphere of focus here, and immediately go and into the pocket, there's this sense of question and answer. Pulls the heat away from here. The psychology on that, I think, stronger. You're down here. Either way, where you want to be getting to is a square, and in a loose, classic palm. And like I said, more advanced performers will find that the lid isn't square so much as slightly off to here, like that, okay? So I'm here. Now, I want it to look like I'm waving my fingers. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm just sort of, it's as if I put my hand down, do this with my fingers, and magic is just happening, okay? So you've got to really be clear about what you're trying to make it look like. So here I come over, and I'm going to palm this in my left hand while leaving this one in my right. And boy, oh boy, it looks like I just wave my hands and it jumps across. And notice these relaxed positions. This is something more advanced magicians are going to have an easier time with for sure, because a newer magician is going to think, well, my hand's down here, isn't it going to look like I'm basically holding something? And you're wrong. This is the most natural way to rest your hand on a table. This is the way you would do it. Whether, if they're holding nothing, you don't do this. You just do this. And it's all about the pacing. This is one of the things I teach this to my students, because it's a great way to develop your pacing on a thing. Your pacing on a thing. Your pacing on a thing. So I'm going to cover this with my left hand, palm it, while dropping off this one. That's my first one. Second one, I come back down to this one, my lower right-hand corner, while this hand reaches in front. And this is why I love to perform this when people are standing up, because they get a better perspective. If they're sitting down and your hands are here, you now have a single sphere of focus in one line that can be confusing. Whereas if they're standing up, they can see the differences. So that's step one. Step two, I'm down here with the right hand. I'm going to palm this one while bringing this hand around. Again, you open your fingers, do the little gesture, palm and come away. The hands you want to mirror. You don't want to be doing this or this, right? It's here and a rest. It's like beat, 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 okay? And then the last one, you go from this, you're back over to here, the last one, where you do this. And again, I'm going to leave this one, palm that one, with just a wave of the hand again, and I'm done. They've magically moved around. Now, what do you do now? You've got this one here. Well, first, remember, you started by having these four examined and showing your hands empty. Don't assume that they're thinking you have a fifth one in play. More likely, lay people, they probably think you're invisibly quickly scooching them somehow or down and up the sleeves, okay? This is a very abstract idea of having a fifth one in play after they've examined them, so don't think like a magician. Secondly, after I've done this, okay, and notice here like this, that's the first one. Here, there goes the second one. Last one's gonna go, wiggle, and it goes. Now you can, what some magicians will do, you're here, is you can come over, palm one of these, okay? So your last one here, flash this hand, come over here, palm one of those, and rearrange. And now, show this hand empty. So notice the dance I've done there, right? This is palmed, that is there. Having done the four move, only now do I flash that hand as I move forward, palming one, and under cover of this action, this larger action, I now can flash this or even gather these four up, put them in my obviously empty hand, and then either put them here or put this away. Alternatively, if you are sitting, okay, If you are sitting, you can lap this last one. Now, I did it in performance standing up because I wanted to make sure that you guys had the experience like a layperson. But if you're seated, what you can do, of course, is this last one can go on my lap on the off beat. This is such a great way to learn about the beat of performance, because I can come in here, have the first one go. Come in here, just wiggle, have the second one go. Sorry, I missed that palm slightly. Boom. And then the last one, I come over here, I lift to show it's gone, lift here, all focus is going to be going over there, and this I just rest my fingers on the edge of the table and I can drop this down to my lap. What that allows me to do then after the drop is to then come forward here like this, or gather them up and show my hands absolutely empty, and that way I get this key image of empty hands at the beginning of the trick as well as at the end. There's only one way to find a pace that works for you, and that's by performing a trick many, many times. It's amazing how quickly some performers can go and not even be comedic, and it works for them. And other people can go so slowly, and it doesn't seem arduous, it doesn't seem forced, it doesn't seem overly dramatic. It just works. Finding your own pacing is essential. It's a really important part, the rhythm of what you do. I know it's been said, musicians will even say, or orators will talk about, they'll say, certain performers are so strong they could read off the phone book or they could say the alphabet, whatever. And because they understand the pacing of what works well for them, they could draw almost any content. They could be saying anything or singing anything, but the pacing, the rhythm is so hypnotic and engaging and powerful that they get away with it.